Hello. So, it's kind of weird recording this because I've technically done it once, but I wanted to do it again because it'd be better. What's going on, everyone? My name is Winder, and we are here with a brand new league. We are here with Owl Fight Club, or OFC Season 6, which is weird to say because, yeah, it's a it's a different season. I'm not joining a league, fresh from the start, really. Yeah, this is season 6. I applied and I got in. I don't know what to tell you. It's the first new league that I've actually applied to be part of and actually get in, so I'm really happy about it. So, Owl Fight Club, or OFC as I'm going to refer to it just the rest of the video, because it's easier to say, and I honestly just refer to it OFC at this point, is a National Dex Singles Draft League. I've actually already recorded this, but I recorded it on my laptop, and I wanted it to be higher quality, so I'm re-recording it on my PC. Okay, and as a result, it's a few weeks late, so bear with me. But I still wanted to record this. Actually, at the time of recording this, I've actually played my first 3 weeks, so, yeah. So I'm not going to be showing you my team on my actual document for OFC, but you'll see the whole team at the end. You'll see at the top there, we've got the power rankings, and I'll actually show you where I actually got on the power rankings, which is cool, because I don't get to show you otherwise, but I do mention it in one of the matches, I think. I think either week 2 or week 3, because yes, I played up to week 3 at this point. Listen, okay, I said it was going to be late. But enough rambling, let's actually get into the team. So National Dex Singles, the big one actually is, for this season, they've actually implemented something I haven't seen, which is an item clause. Really making you consider how you want to use your, items, I think that kind of makes things obvious. But yeah, you want to keep an eye on how you want to use your items. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's something definitely to consider. But other than that, I didn't really know what to do going into this league, because normally, I make a plan, and but this one, it kind of just got dropped on me. I was like, cool, you're in, we're drafting. And I was like, oh. It very quickly approached my turn, and I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. So, yeah, we're gonna go from there. So, I didn't really have a plan. Obviously, at the time of the draft, still playing UBL Season 5, where I have 2 specific Pokemon. I was also 14th out of 16th pick in the draft. There's 2 divisions, completely random. We're actually in a division with some really good players as well. Like, I showed Fat Rat, who knows a lot more about draft, community than I do. And they were like, yeah, you actually are in a league with some good players, so, be careful. I'm like, oh, no. So I was 14th pick, and I saw what was, remaining, and I was just like, screw it, just give me Lando T. It's a super versatile Pokemon that I'm comfortable with, and I guess we'll get it out of the way as well. On the wheel back to me, we got Rotom Wash as well. Without really knowing what I wanted, I thought these are 2 really versatile Pokemon that can run a ton of different items, that I know work well together. So that was it. I was like, okay, Lando T, we'll go over Lando T first. Obviously, incredible attack stat, can be run offensively, defensively, utility, Stealth Rocks off the bat, Defog off the bat, great pivoting, good offense. And as I said, I wanted to make sure items were versatile on a lot of Pokemon, which, means, because there's only 1 leftovers, and we know how much I just love playing bulk, so I was like, okay, so this can, it doesn't often run leftovers. It can run AV, it can run Rocky Helmet, it can run Scarf, technically banned. So it can run a bunch of different items. And obviously it has a bunch of different sets. Obviously, you know me, I prefer my bulk. But obviously I'm not afraid to go for a Scarf or something like that if needs be. So yeah, obviously I'm super comfortable with Orlando. Like technically I think Gliscor is a better mon, and I probably would have gone with Gliscor. Because like nothing else is gonna hold a Toxicorp, right? But I think Gliscor was taken. I think. So I just went with Orlando T. Like again, it's a mon I'm super comfortable with. And the same with Rotom Wash. These two actually were cheaper than in UBL, so this was 17 in UBL and this was 15, and these were both a point cheaper. And I was like, yeah, I'll take Rotom Wash. Again, super versatile Pokemon. It's really well with Lando T. Obviously, like the main ice weakness, it just pairs super well. Again, great pivoting, great pivot core. Super versatile mon. Could go offensive, defensive. Again, runs a few different items, but you know, you can go Spec, Scarf, Leftovers. Really, that's about it. You can go Rindo, which is a fun one, just to make sure you don't have a weakness. Something I was definitely considering for this one, which I think I do end up using, is Citrus. Citrus was something I was definitely looking at because of the lack of Leftovers. I was like, alright, so something's going Citrus. Something I was also thinking for Rotom Wash specifically was Resto Chesto. Because, you know, that's a VGC thing, and I had to use my VGC knowledge to help with this one. So I was like, okay, what items does, you know, Pokemon bring in VGC as well? Because, you know, I can use that to my advantage, you know, being, you know, a VGC player as well. I was like, okay, well, Resto Chesto is something that Rotom Wash can run very well as well. And obviously you can get Recovery or Pain Split and Nasty Plot and Spread Status and Volt Switch and Hydro Pump, and be a really annoying Pokemon for a lot of teams to deal with. I've really grown to like the Rotom forms again after drafting them so much. Turns out they're good. So after that, the wheel went. You know, the wheel went and it went all the way down. It's like 28 picks before it gets back to me, and at this point, I get a chance to kind of work out a strategy. I'm like, okay, I think I know what I want to do. I think I've got a plan. Spoilers, plan backfires. But for the most part, we get everything we need. But so it comes back to me, and what I realize is all of the top end's gone. Like, all of it. I think every 18-pointer, and I think all but like one 17-pointer that did not work with my team was gone. And most 16-pointers were gone. I was like, okay, so whatever comes back to me, I've got to take the best top tier Pokemon left. So I wanted like Mega Lop. I think I wanted Mega Scizor, but I think that went round one. To be fair, I think there was a couple things I was looking at, and they were like all gone. I was like, all right, I'm just gonna take the best thing that comes back to me. And the best thing that came back to me was a Pokemon that I'm not the biggest fan of. I don't like using, I don't like going against, but it works well with the two that I have, and it kind of fits my criteria of Pokemon that I want to be having on this team. I don't like it, but say hello to Jirachi. I hate this thing. Ironhead Serene Grace is dumb, but it means I just have a win condition. It's the best Pokemon left, as I kind of build out with the first two. It's a great utility Pokemon with a lot of different item choices. You can run Scarf, you can run Bulky with Leftovers, or Citrus, or Rocky Helmet. There's a ton of great support and utility moves. I guess I can also talk about this, because I've talked about these two like already on UBL side. But with things like T-Wave and Toxic and Wish and U-Turn, and again, it's another pivot Pokemon, while also having really good coverage on both the physical and special side. You know, your Aura Sphere, Dazzling Gleam, Draconia for some reason, Drain Punch, Energy Ball, Fire Punch, Grass Knot, Ice Punch. There's so many moves. Meteor Beam for that. Moonblast is better. Moonblast and Play Rough, so it can go physical or special. Obviously, it has Calm Mind potential. So it's got a ton of options as a Pokemon, both on utility, on setup, on offense, with the coverage it gets, and obviously it's got a great base stat total. I've used Mew recently in SXOC, and that was great, and this is like, it's definitely less utility than Mew, but some people prefer Jirachi to Mew simply due to, well, two things. One, Serene Grace is dumb, this stupid ability. With Iron Head, it's dumb. But also the fact that it's a Steel type, and that really helps complement Lando T and Rotom Wash. A good Steel type really complements this core well, because obviously they're both immune to the ground. Rotom resists the fire. There's the Ghost and the Dark Weak, which kind of sucks, but also this is a great switch into grass types as well. So, so yeah, Jirachi I think is a pretty solid pick here. Kind of helps round up the speed tiers as well. You know, we've got 86, 91, 100 as well. I definitely tried to pay attention to my speed tiers. So I kind of so I was like, okay, we got the best thing that we could. Now let's get the Pokemon that I actually want. Because I didn't know if it would last. I don't know how people feel about this Pokemon, so I went with it, and I was like, we're gonna see how it feels, because it's a Pokemon that I feel like I would like, but we'll have to see. I don't know. So, and even now, after using it for 3 weeks, I don't know. We'll have to see by the end of the season. But I was like, it's cheaper than I've ever really seen it. I'm gonna grab it. So, in round 4, I grabbed Spectria. Something I immediately realised after picking Spectria, I needed to make sure I'm not weak to Ghost and Dark types. Because, you know, I've got a top-end Psychic and a top-end Ghost. I need to make sure that Ghost and especially Dark types I can deal with. But we'll get into that in a little bit. But Spectria obviously is a monster. Obviously it's preppable for draft, you just need a Dark type, really, or a normal type. And you can, you know, stop Spectria doing Spectria things. But if you lose said Dark or normal type, you aren't switching into this thing. So Spectria is really good. Obviously that huge speed stat gives me that really good top end speed. You know, there's only a few things that will outspeed it. You know, Mega Lop, Zera, Dragapult, Mega Arrow. There's not many things that outspeed Spectra. Obviously, it speed ties Coco. Yeah, there's not many things that actually outspeed Spectra. So it gives me a high end speed, and like Spectra doesn't do a lot. But what it does is honestly terrifying. I mean, really, it doesn't have any spec sets, and to be honest, like it means it kind of is. It's weird on items. But thankfully, and I think I realized this in one of my weeks, I don't remember which one, I think it's week 2. One of the item options for this is actually a really good and easy item option, is just Spell Tag. Because you just basically get an extra 20% bonus to the only move you're clicking, which is Shadow Ball or Hex. Because obviously you can do Hex sets, you can do like Sub Hex, Will-O-Wisp stuff. Or you can kind of just go more offensive and just run like Shadow Ball, Hyper Beam, Mud Shot, Dart Pulse, or Foul Play, or something like that. You can do like just kind of run it like 4 attacks offensive with like a Life Orb or a Choice Specs or something like that. Obviously you have Nasty Plot options as well, or Calm Mind, but generally more Nasty Plot. Haze is actually a really good utility option on this thing, because obviously the main downside of Spectra is it gets like no moves. You can just nothing. Like it gets no moves. Compared to like Jirachi, who just goes. Like it gets so many moves. Whereas it's limited on its moveset, but the special attack and the speed means that if it's not resisted, it's getting to it KO'd. Or it's got to be super specially bulky. And even then, if it's something super specially bulky, like a Florges or something, like obviously I love Florges, you know, like it can get nasty plots up on like the really passive things and sub, and it's a very, very scary Pokemon. If like every team has to be ready for Spectria. So yeah. It's a very obviously it's a very good Pokemon, but it's going to come down to me on how I can play it. So, I used Regieleki in the past, which is kind of a similar Pokemon, but this is kind of a more extreme version of that, where it's like, okay, I'm putting a lot more pressure on the Spectra, because it's, you know, it's worth more. Though again, it was the cheapest I've ever seen. It was only 14 points. I was like, I'm taking this. I'm going to take this, I'm going to pair it with a really good fighting type. And I was looking, I was like, I really want Infernape. Infernape got taken, unfortunately. I really wanted Infernape, and that was the big snipe that I was really upset about for this draft. I thought Infernape Spectra sounded insanely good. But that got taken, so. After that, I was like, alright, whatever, I'll have to get my... I don't remember... Let's see if we can get it up in a different tab, because I don't want to spoil Stoof. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I do not have the draft on here anymore. Maybe not. Trying to look. When... Yeah, so it went round 5, which was when I was going to take Infernape. So I was like, okay, well, Infernape went, and that really sucked. I was like, okay, let's worry about my fighting type at some other point. Let's get some other Pokemon that I feel like I'm going to really need. So, whenever something gets sniped, I feel like, I kind of default back to something I know. So, I mentioned it recently. Say hello to Florges. I'm not going to go over Florges for like the 15th time, okay? Like, I have it in UBL. I had it in GSC Season 1, Season 2. This is my most drafted mon for a reason. I love it. It's a really dedicated Wish Passer. It gets defog, so it's a third defogger on the team. It's a great bulky fairy type that just really bulks up this team's Spadef stat, and just gives it something that's really just hard to take down. I really like Florges. It's just a good fairy. It's a great cleric. It can be a bit offensive. I have run offensive. I've run Scarf Florges with Copycat for to try and catch an Excadrill. I've run just offensive, a bulky offensive of like max special attack. So I've done weird things with Florges, trust me. But for the most part, you kind of know what to expect. Just a super bulky, like a super bulky mon that just is a pain to take down. That can really provide some bulk to the team. The downside of Florges, however, it really can't run many items. Like, unless you're going offensive with it, it's pretty much stuck to leftovers or citrus. So that's the main downside. Or like rest chesto something. Maybe even a pinch berry, like the Figgy, Figgy Ayapapa, something like that. It doesn't really have many options for items. But I felt Florges was alright. I think it was 10 points. I can probably have a look actually, because I've already got the other dock open, so I can kind of look without having to spoil the team. Yeah, it was 10 points. I was like, yeah, I'll take it. I need things that could deal with ghost and dark types. Mainly I needed to make sure the dark types were covered, so I was like, okay, get my fairy now. Get the fairy I want now, and we should be, you know, we can start building that up. So, because I thought the fairy would go, and I was like, right, now let's get the other thing that I want. Because the main thing was, I wanted to be able to switch into knockoff. Because obviously knockoff is a really spammable move, you know, any team can go for, and against the team so far, it felt like knockoff was a really spammable move. I was like, okay, so let's make sure I can get my Mega. So I wanted my Mega to be bulky. Obviously, at this point, a lot of the top-end Megas were gone. There wasn't really a lot left in terms of Megas that I was looking at. There was like 2 I was looking at. One was Mega Heracross, I was actually looking at. I was like, okay, I was debating between the one I ended up picking and Mega Heracross, and I was like thinking, I was like, there's the ups and downs to both, I could do this with that. And then Mega Hero got taken. I was like, well, I guess I'm going with the other one. This one I think is also a bit of a weird one in draft, because I think some people aren't the biggest fan of it. Some people actually quite like it. I'm not sure, but we'll see what happens. I got Mega Venusaur. This thing is a friggin' tank, dude. Running calcs against this thing when I was going against Paraic and UBL was not okay. I was like looking at this thing, I was like, why is this taking no damage? And you kind of looked at its defenses and like, that's really good defenses, and it's got good HP. And it's just a pain to take down. As well as like pretty good special attack and attack, to be fair as well. Like, you can do physical stuff with this thing, because it gets sword stance. Like, you can do sword stance Mega Venu. But obviously it's not really the main reason why you use it. It's a pain to take down. Like, it's a fat mon. You know, it has thick fat for a reason. You know, it means, you know, it can take hits. You know, Leech Seed, just status with, you know, Toxic or Sleep Powder. Like, decent coverage as well. Also can run knockoff to, you know, catch items, and, you know, because people are going to run weird items because they've got to. So, you know, catching things with knockoffs is going to be nice. Like, just recovering with this thing, and it's just a pain to take down. I guess its own recovery and synthesis usually doesn't need it, honestly. Because of Leech Seed, like, recovery, as well as, like, Giga Drain. Like, you can usually sustain Mega Venu really, really easily. And it's just not an easy Pokemon to take down. It doesn't really add anything in terms of hazards or anything like that, neither does Spectria, to be fair, but Spectria is kind of like a cleaning machine. Whereas this is kind of just like a fat mon that some teams just aren't going to be able to deal with. And it's also just, again, it's a really good Pokemon to just switch into knockoff, which is something I was really looking for. But then also combine, you know, its two weaknesses because of thick fat. It's flying and psychic. And if there's something that like Spectria wants to eat alive, it's psychic types. And then you leave the flying types, and I'm like, cool, I've got a Jirachi and a Rotom Wash. So Mega Venu ends up fitting on this team really well. Provides this team with a really good grass type, a really good poison type as well. Because if you kind of look at this team, other than Spectria, it's kind of bulky. So T-Spikes could be an issue, but with Mega Venu, they're not. Like, Mega Venu's just, like, it will just soak them up really nicely. Which I was like, that really helps with this team. So, I didn't really talk about the structure as well of this draft. But you could pick up to, it was between 9 and 12 Pokemon with 120 points. So, I had to think about how many Pokemon I wanted. And originally I wanted 11, but then I kind of started to kind of look at how many points I'd spent up to this point. And I spent 16, 14, 16, 14, 10, 14. And I was like, I might not be going with as many Pokemon as I originally planned. So, kind of, like, at this point, it's like, what, like, 32, 36, that's 78, 88 points on 6 months, and I was like, and I've got 120 points, I'm like, maybe I'm not going, for 11 months like I originally planned. So, I kind of looked at, what I wanted to go with next. And that was a Pokemon I was looking at since the start of the draft. I kind of dismissed it after I wanted to get Infernape, and I was like, this is a Pokemon I looked at, and I was like, I want this on my team. And then I thought about Infernape, and I was like, well, I'm not going for this. And then I looked at it again, you know, realizing that, you know, I'm not getting Infernape, but I was like, yo, I can get this one. Because it's cheap. Cheaper than I usually see it, and it is a Pokemon I've been really looking forward to using in draft for a while. And, like, I think I will like it. It's the king of VGC himself. It's Incineroar. Incineroar was 9 points, dude. This one's stupid. Obviously, in VGC, it's disgusting. I don't even want to look at the usage stats for it in VGC, because Intimidate plus Fake Out is obviously insane. But in singles, this just gave me a second Intimidator. With Pivoting. With Land OT. Obviously, they're both weak to water, but I've got a Rotom Wash and a Mega Venu. So, water types aren't really an issue. It gives a really nice bulky Dark type and a bulky Fire type that can really play offensive. Something I also knew I wanted to make sure was I didn't want to have many ones forced to run Boots. This is the first one I could really say that really wants to run Boots because of Stealth Rocks. So like, I didn't want to draft too many Pokemon weak to Stealth Rocks, whereas this is the first. But I felt it was worth it. Like, obviously, I wanted to round out the Fire, Water, Grass core. We've got our... We don't have our Dragon yet, so we don't have our Fairy Dragon Steel core, but we do get a Dragon, funnily enough. But obviously, Incin is very good. In draft, for me, I feel like this Pokemon's just really solid. You can, because of, like, especially how you build it in VGC, because you can tailor its bulk so well, you can really make it bulky. But you can also, you know, make it offensive, kind of like Lando. Obviously, it's slower, but that means you have things like slow parting shot, which, like, means you can get, like, I just go for a slow parting shot, go into Spectra, and it's game over. With how much pivoting on this team, getting to Spectra is really easily. So you've got that. Obviously, you've got Fake Out for Chip. You've got knockoff. You get knockoff and parting shot, which you don't get in VGC, which is cracked. Obviously, you've got the great fire stabs. You've got fighting coverage. You've got Darkest Lariats or knockoff. Leech Life for some reason. Outrage for some reason. Decent coverage. You can have Will-O-Wisp as well. Will-O-Wisp, obviously, is really, really nice. And as well as some random other moves, I think. Like, you can use Snarl to kind of help getting switches in easier against some special attackers, because obviously, like, Incin already, like, really eats physical hits because of the Intimidate. And beginning up to Intimidate cycle is really nice. And Incin is, like, a Pokemon I can see myself liking in singles, just because of its pivot ability, gets in and out really easily, especially with Boots. Again, more knockoffs. Another thing that can really switch in on Dark types, and especially Ghost types, because I didn't really have a switch in for Ghosts at this point, and I was like, I want a good bulky Dark type, which usually I'm quite picky on my Darks. I've said this before, but I felt like Incin was just a steal at 9, and something I feel like I'm just going to really like. I guess I can say it right now after using it for 3 weeks. Yes, it's good. Turns out, I like it. So... Like some of the other Pokemon, not sure yet, like Spectra, but Incin, yes, we like Incin. Hate it in VGC. Singles, I'll let it slide. Stupid cat. So, yeah, that was coming back up to me. So going back down, I wanted to get my Dragon. And really at this point, I felt there was only one fit for me. And that was Noivern. I technically had this recently in GSC Season 3, but I didn't upload GSC Season 3. I redrafted and I got Noivern, but I don't want to talk about GSC Season 3. Let's talk about it here, though. So, it was 8 points, and I felt like, okay, I need to fill that speed gap. Because I got a speed gap between Jirachi and Spectra. 30 points. I'm like, give me something that can at least kind of bridge that gap a little bit. Obviously it still means a lot of Pokemon can go adamant, you know, like really easily. But this kind of means that some of them can't. Obviously it's super fast. Frisk is an amazing ability. It's same with Infiltrator. Like, it's got 2 great abilities, like good special attack, decent attack, but not really something you want to use. Decent bulk, honestly. This is the second one that can really run Boots. And it's actually a pretty decent, like, utility mon. Obviously we've got a lot of utility mons already, but this one actually gets some things that some of the others don't. Things like Taunt is a big one. Fast Taunt. U-turn. You know? Super Fang's another one that nothing else on this team really gets. And obviously, you know, we've got another Defogger. And that's not even like that's not a set that's like out of the realm of possibility. But obviously you got You got things like hurricanes and air slashes and Dracos, and I need more music because I didn't realize how long I've been talking. Whoops. There we go. There's some Mystery Dungeon music. So yeah. Why is Facade there? So yeah. It gets obviously it gets recovery with Roost as well. Wild Charge. Why do you get Wild Charge? Why am I pointing out Wild Charge? What's wrong with me? So yeah. Again, it's a really fast utility mon with lots of like kind of weird things, and it kind of fills up the Fairy Dragon Steel core. Because I think there was a type. I think it was water. There was one of the types that like dragon really helps resist. That I was kind of looking at. I was like, I don't have as many resist for this as I'd like. I think I only had, so I had like 2 resists for up to this point. Oh no, I had 3 resists for grass. But I think I only had 2 water resists and 2 fire resists. So I was like, give me a third. I'll take another water and fire resist that can play in a bulky or offensive role. Again, kind of like some of the other Pokemon. I didn't really talk about with Insane. Insane can also run a ton of different items. Insane can run, boot. It doesn't just have to run boots. It can run AV. It can run resist berries. It can run actual offensive items. Choice Banded Insane is not out of the question because, base 115 attack with Glare Blitzes and knockoffs are going to hurt. Kind of a similar deal with Noivern. You can run Specs, Lightfall, Boots. Like, especially Specs is not out of the realm of possibility because of Switcheroo as well, which I think is a pretty big deal. And obviously, it's really good at getting in and out. But it's one of the 2 Pokemon on this team that really, if they come, they ideally want to run Boots, but they don't have to, because they could also just run an offensive item. So, yeah, that's Noivern. So I looked at what's left, and I was like, okay, well, the fighting type I want at this point was guaranteed. Like, no one else was going to pick it. So I was like, okay, what else do I want then? And I was like, okay, well, let's kind of get something on the cheaper side. At this point, I had 19 points, and I was like, okay, let's get something on the cheaper side, because I know what fighting type I want. Kind of looked, and I was like, what do I want? I was like, I realized I really only had 2 Stealth Rockers. Like, okay, so let's go something on the cheaper side with Stealth Rocks. And I was kind of looking at what was left, and I was like, this Pokemon doesn't seem that bad, honestly. So, and again, can run a ton of different items. I think I can make this Pokemon work. Despite it being a cheap pick, I've actually already considered, actually bringing it to a match, which is weird, because I never normally consider my low tier picks. But this one I actually already have considered. I don't think I actually brought it to that match, but, say hello to Reggie Rock. The second lowest tier? No, third, because Gigas is lower, and Gigas and Ice are lower than Reggie Rock. But Reggie Rock is Stealth Rocks. And I thought it's a super bulky Stealth Rocker. Can run an Assault Vest or, an item. Honestly, it could probably run a Weakness Policy. I'm pretty sure it gets Rock Polish too. So, Weakness Policy, Rock Polish, anyone? It gets good coverage. It actually has decent offense as well. With that base 100 attack, with actually pretty good coverage as well. Power Up Punch. Probably not Meteor Beam on this thing. But you can also just run Seismic Toss and, spread some status. I thought for a cheap Stealth Rocker, I don't normally get a Rock type, at all. But I was like, hey, for 5 points, I'll take it. It's a pretty good Pokemon. Kind of pairs with Florges in a nice way as well, where it's, cool, some of the things that, Reggie Rock does not want to deal with, Florges can come in on. And obviously, we've got a massive Fizz Def stat, combined with Florges' massive Sped Def stat. So Reggie Rock to take down is not easy, especially on the physical side. But even on the special side, 100 special defense is not bad either. Bit slow, but, again, it's a Stealth Rocker. It doesn't have recovery outside of rest, but, it's not bad for what it is. So, the only thing with it is really, obviously, it adds a ton of weaknesses. But for most of those, we have things covered up. So, it's got 5 weaknesses. So, let's go through them. Water, we've got Mega Venu. just Mega Venu. But also we got Rotom Wash and Noivern. Rotom Wash obviously very good as well, and Noivern just kind of as an extra resist, which obviously helps. Switching into Water types, but not the best because obviously Water types can run out its type moves. Grass types, we got again Mega Venu, we got Incin, which are both very good at switching into those. Into grass types, as well as Jirachi and Noivern. So grass types we're covered on. Fighting, we've got Noivern, we've got Mega Venu, we've got Florges, we've got Lando. Ground, we've got 3 immunities to ground in Noivern, Lando, and Rotom Wash. So we're good there. And then Steel, we've got Incin and Jirachi and Rotom. So yeah, like we're good on its weaknesses. So anyway, wrapping it up, let's get that fighting type that we were talking about this entire time. It's the big man himself that I used in SXOC. It is Buzzwol. I've really grown to like Buzzwol, I'm not gonna lie. It's kind of a monster. I really wanted to use him more than I did in SXOC. So we grabbed him here. As I kind of mentioned about Mega Heracross, I wanted a Buzzwol, because also it helps deal with some of the psychic types. It also bait them in. Because I'm like, yum. Eat. It gets a lot of really cool coverage options. Dual Wing Beat, EQ, Ice Punch, Iron Head. Outrage, okay. That makes sense. Poison Jab. Stone Edge / Rock Slide. Thunder Punch, obviously great. Just great coverage all around. It hits like a truck. This is one of the main forms of offense of the team, along with Spectre. It's super strong. It's super strong. Can run like a bunch of different kind of offensive items, Expert Belt, Life Orb, Scarf, Band. Actually really good with Resist Berries because it has quite a few weaknesses, and obviously like at times 4 weak to flying, so Cobra is actually pretty reasonable on it, but also can run defensive as well, because that 139 defense for some reason, 107 HP, so like physically defensive, like it can really take hits. Physdef Buzzwol is pretty good, so you know, because it gets Roost, so it can just kind of heal itself and do it once, and Power Punch and just take hits from certain mons that I wouldn't normally have answers to. So yeah, Buzzwol I'm really excited to use again. I'm really happy to have it. Obviously, like he's big man Buzzwol. He's awesome. So that is the full team. And to kind of show where I thought going into this, because especially because like talks in the server, people it's very divisive on some Pokemon. Some people don't like Mega Venu. I get that. Some people don't like Spectre. I also get that. One of the big ones. People really don't know what they want to do with Florges. Some people can't stand the thing, and see, some people adore it. Obviously, we know my stance on it with how many times I've drafted the damn thing. So I was like, I don't know how I'm going to end up on PRs. I got 4th. I was like, what? So yeah, here's the full team all together. Yeah, I got 4th on PRs, which also, I wanted to kind of show this in some way. I just want to point out the offensive stats of this team. The team over here, I don't know how well you can see it. Yeah, you can see it, like, defensively, this team is a wall. So many already defensive monsters. You throw Random T, Rotom Wash, and Jirachi as defensive options, and it's going to easily outlive most teams. And I think that's a really good point, but, like, look at the defensive stats. Average defense stat 106, average spec def 96, like super high bulk. But then also the offensive stats are really high, and you're like, wait, this is a bulky defensive team. Look at the offensive stats. Spectra 145, Noivern 97 special attack, Jirachi 100 attack or 100 special attack, Lenoti 145 attack, Rotom Wash 105 special attack, Mega Venu 100 attack, not really, but 122 special attack, Buzzwol 139 physical attack, Florges defensive Pokemon 112 special attack, Incin can be defensive 115, Reggie Rock 100. The only Pokemon on this team that's main offensive stat that is below 100 is Noivern at 97. So even when things are run really defensively, they still hit quite hard. So yeah, but you can see like here, like there's a ton of ones that can't run offensive, but it's off lot of teams' main strength. It's cleaners like Scarf, Lando, slash Buzzwol, Spectre, or maybe random Jirachi sets some weeks. Which add more hazards, but Lando and Jirachi are really good rockers, and it sucks that it doesn't have more hazards. Obviously, I agree with that. Pretty good removal for mons that can defog. Since I'm not running any more hazards, like, defog is fine here. You know, we've got 4 really good defoggers. We've got insane pivoting. Speed tiers can kind of suck because of the big gap between 123 and 100. Yeah, so they kind of round it up. It's just insane defensive potential, plus great momentum, good options for offensive, even where its defensive mons made this team a massive threat. It actually put me at number 4, which I was stunned at. I was going through, like, because it's like, it doesn't spoil it, so it's like 16, 15, 14. I was like, alright, where am I, like, in the bottom, like, 4 or something? And instead I was top 4, and I was like, what? So, yeah, I was really, really happy with this. I was like, wow, that's awesome. Just because this team, it's a pain to take down. It's an absolute nightmare for teams to break through. And when you think about it with mons like Florges and Mega Venusaur with Insane and Defensive Buzzwol and, you know, Lando, Rome Wash, Jirachi, you know, all, and even like defensive Noivern and Reggie Rock, all these monsters are a pain to take down. Absolute nightmare for teams to just break through. And you're like, well, yeah, it kind of makes sense why it just doesn't die. And then when things finally get chipped down through the actual reasonable offensive potential of this team, things like Spectre just come in the late game and go, yum. So, I will eat tonight. I will feast. Or again, Buzzwol as well. Because they both, you know, just pick off something, get a boost, and suddenly things just go from there. So, and the only, like, kind of, I don't know, like, how this works, but, like, the numbers down here, but, like, this kind of, like, shows the types that I have. The only type I actually have more than one of is flying with Lando and Noivern, which is funny, because the 2 flying types I have are both ×4 weak to ice, but they're also the only ice weaks on the team, which is kind of funny. But the only types I missed out on were ice and normal, which I was also kind of impressed at, that I missed out on only 2 types. So, one of them's the worst type in the game to draft, and the other one is also not a great type to draft. So I was like, cool, I actually picked up a pretty good team somehow, despite not really knowing what I was doing going into this. And I was like, cool, I did it. I guess I know how to draft somehow. So yeah. But yeah, other than that, I'll stop rambling. I'll let you guys get on with your day, or, you know, hope you have a rest nice of your day. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys for the upcoming matches. At this point, as I say, I've had 3 recorded, so you'll be able to see those in the next coming days after this gets uploaded. So, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.